Good evening, all of you, and most of you already know me. I'm Admiral V.K. Singh. I'm from the medical side, and we have been talking about this training program. And myself, Sachin, and we have concretized. Then we met General Pant in his office, who is the highest body in the cyber security. He is a national coordinator at the government of India, and all the policies, everything on cyber. And he encouraged us that yes, it is a necessity in health sector and that we should have something, and we started working on that, and the pilots were had and couple of training programs developed online or physical, and we learned what all is required. Generally what has happened is when we talk to the people, the doctors especially, they were not aware, talking about any other buzzword, cyber, artificial intelligence, chain, etc. So the people are not knowing that finance is the one, the Reserve Bank have a vice president on cyber side, and health was not so much interested because it probably needs extra money to be spent and not attractive and not having what are the challenges. And I always gave an example that is one very so extra example where vice president of the no less than USA had a pacemaker and Al Qaeda wanted to disable it before he gives an address, and he would have been dead at the time of address. However, the Secret Service came to know and they took the preventive action and it was avoided. It is quoted in our magazine as well. So this was a starting point that we thought, and General Pant had really encouraged us to see that this must happen. Today is the one that everybody is talking of health. More online thinking has come, and more cyber issues would be there into, and the health sector need to gear up accordingly. I welcome all the panelists. General Pant is, I have already mentioned, is the highest body on cybersecurity, the national coordinator on the policy making, etc., in the Prime Minister's office. I have a Brigadier Lal, Arvind Lal, good friend, good college from the same college. He's also joined in, leading a prestigious chain of lab. Dr. Harish Pillai, uh, who is from the Aster Group CEO. So I have known all of them. So we thought before we launch the cybersecurity for a healthcare, let's get the viewpoint of everyone. So that today's meeting is not a except the my panelists who will be having short presentation. It is all a discussion. They will say what we are going to do. So the first training program will be in the month of July, and what should be added, what should not be added. We have already launched it online with Udemy. We have also done physical training programs. So we have fair good experience of this particular program. My stalwarts who have been doing work on it is Sachin, who is double master from the European University on cyber, cryptography, mobile security, etc. So no better than him as far as technical part is concerned. My good friend Sandeep Bhalla, who is the director training of PHFI, and we are doing in collaboration with them because Bhalla had done lots of training programs for the doctors community. So we thought we together will succeed much better. There are other resource person, Colonel Verma, who is also cyber person, and Dhruv Singh in the cyber security domain. So this is the team which will take it you forward and would brief you. And I suggest everyone whosoever is joined in, give your input. It's not one-way traffic. Everybody should say this should be there, that should not be there. And we will conclude after 1 hour. And everything will be recorded. And Sachin will be getting it edited and put it on YouTube. And I now request that if everybody is already settled, then let's start this deliberation. And I welcome all the panelists, all the people who have joined today to take this forward. Is an initiative of a highest order, and if it becomes success, we would also take it forward from to a certificate level and would request General Pant, if he feels appropriate, maybe we get the approval of his approval so that it shows a credibility, and all the doctors, nurses, and paramedics, those who are involved, are the one who are benefited by this. I hand over to Sachin to take the deliberation forward. I'll be there for the whole duration. And thank you. Sachin, kindly take on. Thank you very much, everyone.
Without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Arvind Lal, MD, Lal Path Lab, to share his views as the first panelist as per the agenda. I'm also projecting the agenda. I believe everybody can see my screen. So, sir, warm welcome to you, sir. If I may request you to share your views, sir. Sir, we cannot hear you. I think Dr. Lal.
It is on mute. Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, please.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Okay. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I take this opportunity of thanking my senior, my old friend, Admiral V.K. Singh, sir, and also his 2IC, as we say, Sachin, for inviting me here. I'm the last person who should be invited to such a conference because neither I know cyber, neither I know security. So, so but as we are growing in a interconnected kind of an age, and I keep picking up things from here and there. So what I have been told and what I have read is that more and more so-called people, without scruples, are now hacking into our computer systems, and there is something known as ransomware, which you all pretty much know about. That somebody hacks into your system, and he creates or plays havoc there, and he then puts a gun to your temple and says that you shell out so many rupees or so many dollars, and this amount has gone into millions of dollars also. The second thing which we in the healthcare industry are always paranoid about is our patient security. Our patient security is of utmost importance to us. In fact, in our line, and I'm glad my old friend Dr. Harish Pillai is here and Sandeep is also here, that we do not even discuss it outside, the closed milieu of the patient. If he is a surgical patient, well, the only surgical team which is, attending on this patient knows it's a need to know, and the other people will not even know. For example, the anesthetist will not know what is happening to him, and somebody else who's come for his echocardiogram, he will not be told everything. So that is another thing. So, and when we are so paranoid about not sharing it even amongst ourselves, so you can imagine our plight when we say or when we hear that, well, your patient data has been hacked and it is being sold somewhere, in black market, and that is exactly what we don't want to happen. At the same time, and if I may say here, that in India we have lagged behind these kind of the health records, electronic health record system, not so much in the private sector as you all know, but definitely in the government sector. With the ABPMJ schemes and other schemes coming in, and there has to be all around connectivity, and the only thing which can connect everybody everywhere, a patient who originates in West Bengal goes to Darjeeling, then he goes, into Uttarakhand for a short holiday. Not these days, but I'm sure everything will become okay. And he falls sick in Uttarakhand. So his electronic record should be available to the primary health center or the health wellness center there. So we need all this. At the same time, it is not happening, and I'm sure you all know about it. And the connection of the medical devices also has now come of age. more and more, and especially when telemedicine is going along, and you've heard of, tele ICUs also. So everything, all the gadgetry, whether it's the heartbeat or the ECG or the blood pressure kind of apparatus, or everything is connected, to the internet, and it can be monitored, at some other place. And of course, the security threats of for this, the IT people, we keep telling, at least in our we've got a very nice good IT, very secure IT systems so far. Also, we have and many people have said that, well, we wanted to send you a PPT and your computer system just wouldn't take it. So these are all kind of layers which you all understand have been put into our systems. So I would like to add that the healthcare industry is and will remain a prime hacker target. And healthcare facilities host a plethora of valuable and marketable patient information that can be accessed through countless vulnerable endpoints and resold in the black market before any breaches are detected. While regulatory and security frameworks help protect patient data, ultimately it comes down to people and the processes to keep the patient healthcare data information absolutely secure. A comprehensive security awareness program can help healthcare facilities combat many of the security concerns discussed or being discussed today. With the right resources and support from leadership, security awareness training can teach facility staff how to identify, how to avoid, and how to report attacks before this hacking takes place. At just a fraction of the cost of a data breach, healthcare providers can leverage security awareness training to protect the patient health information, maintain the patient trust, and avoid reputational fallout from a data breach. So that's, I will stop here and I hand you over back to Sachin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your brief comments but valuable comments. And may I, sir, request now Dr. Harish Pillai to share your views on this topic.
Thank you, Sachin. Firstly, a big thank you to Admiral VK Singh. It's quite apt, Admiral, saying that you're leading this initiative with PHFI, because even from a national security point of view, it's the Indian Navy which has been given the responsibility for cyber warfare, where India is concerned. So in that context, it's pretty good to have a Navy man at the helm of affairs. Dr. Lal has really laid the framework of discussions today. I just have few points to share. Thanks to COVID, there has been a kind of a hyperactivity in terms of how do we overcome the challenge of lockdown, where physical arrival to hospitals and diagnostic centers was a big challenge. And many institutions, especially in India, has more or less by force, I would say, jumped onto the bandwagon of telemedicine. The whole approach, what I have seen till now, is that there has not been a proper due diligence or a due process in terms of selection of the vendor, your hardware, your kind of bandwidth, the kind of hand-holding in terms of regulations. In that context, the Government of India has done yeoman service with reference to the Board of Governors issuing a first set of national guidelines for use of telemedicine. It was quite interesting to see that several state members of the Indian Medical Association, some of them had raised objections to even the national guidelines issued by the Government of India. But this is a change whose time has already come. It's absolutely true that how do we ensure, and Dr. Lal's point is very pertinent, that information which is so intimate and private, when you are involving into a teleconsultation mode using a mobile phone, how do you ensure the privacy of data? We all know in our own circles that critical patient information is transmitted through WhatsApp. Even though you say end-to-end encryption, there is no ecosystem to ensure that that data does not go beyond the primary stakeholder. So that's definitely a challenge. there is a whole gamut in terms of cyber laws in India, specifically to healthcare. I'm still waiting and I'm still scanning that when will the first lawsuit come into our judiciary with regards to breach of privacy from a cyber point of view. So that is something which I think would be pretty interesting to look at. What Admiral Singh talked about, the possible hacking of medical devices, especially implantable devices, is something very sensitive. Not just in terms of implantable devices. When Dr. Lal talked about EICUs, with pretty low-tech malware, you can actually go and camouflage physiological signs picked up by EICU monitors, which can be quite devastating in terms of real-time monitoring and delivery of care for EICU patients. So there's a whole set of issues, whether it's to do with basic low-tech consultations in terms of teleconsultation, whether it's to do with remote monitoring in terms of EICU, or even home care. Home care is now coming up in a big way, which we can see across India, where we use the new term called brick and click instead of brick and mortar. So brick and click is the way forward for Indian healthcare, and it's going to be a big jump. There also has to be a lot of educational efforts. There is an opportunity clearly to go back to the drawing board in terms of our undergraduate and postgraduate training curricula for doctors as well as nurses and paramedical staff, to sensitize them to this new world on digital health. And we need to make the citizens of the country, especially consumers, whether it's patients and their relatives, they need to be digitally literate. So there has to be also on a mission mode a kind of a task force by the government of India, and it's good that we have General Pant, who's also participating in this panel discussion. So there has to be a top-down and a bottom-up approach to sensitize the citizens of the country on the importance of cyber security, and people need to be aware of it. The recent debates in our country, whether it's to do with our electronic voting machines, there has been petitions to the Election Commission of India whether we should go back to the traditional ballot paper versus the electronic voting machines. Vis-a-vis the recent debate regarding Arogya Setu, whether the data which is uploaded on Arogya Setu is really secure. So that's a good sign that being argumentative Indians, that we are all putting some kind of mind space into debating these kind of sensitive topics, which means that the time is right for such a training program. It's pretty good that the Public Health Foundation of India and all of you are bringing up a training program completely focused on cybersecurity. It will go a long way. We hope to see more publications coming out of this, the kind of digital literacy which you're attempting to create. I hope that's the first of many more series to happen. So my best wishes to all of you, and thank you for having me in this conversation.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your viewpoints. And now I would like to invite Lieutenant General Rajesh Pant. Sir, if you can, yes. Sir, if you can share your views, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. From the list of names, I find some ladies, Mrs. Sangeeta, Rohini, etc. Thanks to Admiral VK for inviting me for this launch of the Cybersecurity Online Certification Program by the Public Health Foundation of India in association with Innovatio Curtis. The previous speakers have brought out a couple of very important aspects, both Dr. Lal also and Dr. Pillai also. Let me just take two of those issues before I come to some of the points that I wish to make. One is about the data protection. And as you're all aware that this year, we expect the PDP 2019 or the Personal Data Protection Bill of India 2019 to be hopefully passed in at least some session of the Parliament. The bill is presently under examination by a committee led by Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi. They have gone into a lot of details, and this is the bill that is actually going to tell us in some sense as to what is the value of data and how it is going to be protected. Some of you may have heard of the GDPR, which is in force in Europe, the General Data Protection Regulations. The PDP bill is somewhat akin to that, including the fines. The fine in GDPR, if you do not report a breach within 72 hours, is 20,000 euros or 4% of your annual revenue, whichever is more. So those are the sort of fines that are going to be imposed. Somehow I feel we've not understood the value of data. See, in the USA, you may have heard that the Federal Trade Commission imposed a fine on Facebook for $5 billion for the 81 million leak that had gone to Cambridge Analytica, and Facebook has paid. And there have been a number of cases, in Britain, in Italy, etc. So as and when the PDP bill comes into force this year, then we will realize what is the data fiduciary, who is the data processor, what is the data principal, what is personal data, critical data, what is to be kept within the country, what can be cross-border free flow data, etc. So this whole subject is going to become very important. I'm glad that both my previous speakers have flagged it. The second is, as far as the task force is concerned, some of you may also be aware that last year in July, we constituted a task force, an interministerial task force, for creating the National Cyber Security Strategy for India for the years 2020 to 25. So we've spent a lot of work on it. I'm the chairperson of that task force, and we have got reps from all the ministries. And the report was ready by and large in March this year when the pandemic struck. And that is when we realized that it required a revisit because of the manner in which the distributed systems had come into force, and a new look had to be given to cybersecurity from the teleworking point of view, the remote working or the work from home point of view. So we've added a section on that, and it's now being processed for cabinet approval. So I presume that all your concerns are going to be addressed in that. We had put it in the public domain. We got about 300 responses. And when I talk of response, each response is, let's say, NASSCOM or CII or PICI, etc., which again represents a large body of industries. So the National Cyber Security Strategy is going to come out this year, which will cover all sectors, including the health sector. Now, having said that, it's actually quite a paradox that in India, we had earlier decided on 6 critical sectors. There was transportation, and there was including aviation and everything. There was telecom, the strategic sector, the oil, the power, etc. Nobody was talking of health all these years, the last couple of years that I've been in this sector. And a strategic a critical sector was defined as one that would have a debilitating impact on the national economy. Look at what has happened in the last 3 months. The GDP coming down by 3 to 4%. The impact that it has had on every sector of the government. Every sector of the government is impacted. And suddenly the health has come into focus. So we have now gone into a mission mode, and we are addressing this sector also as to how it is to be protected. And as all of you are aware, that it is today the most targeted sector in terms of both the ransomware as well as the research that is taking place. You'll be surprised that the research that is taking place for finding out the vaccines, all those institutions are today being targeted by individuals, by the mafia gangs of criminals, as well as nation-state-based actors. So, there is something called the perfect storm for cybercrime. When there is fear, when there is uncertainty, when people are looking around for advisories, when a lot of digital transactions are taking place, and these portals have come out. So the cyber criminals have made hay in the last couple of months, and this pandemic has created, an exponential rise in the number of cyber crimes. Since I represent the government, let me also say a couple of lines as to how well the government of India has so far, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed, so far tackled this crisis in terms of our lowest mortality rates around the globe, one of the lowest mortality rates around the globe. The clarity with which our Prime Minister has issued the directions for both the lockdowns and the unlock, the Disaster Management Act 2005 that was invoked, and the 11 technology empowered, the empowered groups that were created, the center-state relations, the private sector, and most important, the public. The way everyone has responded has been, if I would say, an excellent whole-of-nation approach and an excellent case study for the future. So, having said that, now let me just add a bit of advice as to what the healthcare sector now should focus on. One is, I feel that there is time now that every health institution must have a CISO, Cyber Information Security Officer, must be there. And this CISO should have two cells. One is the IT cell and the other is the cyber security cell. Because wherever I go around, I find that the same IT people who have implemented the network in hospitals and the information management system, etc., who are responsible for the security also. So, which is something like, the judge and jury. So this is my first recommendation, that please have a separate IT cell and a separate cyber security cell, because they are the people who are going to carry out the cyber audit, the vulnerability analysis, etc., and all the protection mechanism that is behind all the security systems. Then the cyber awareness is very important. So there are certain actions that are done before the incident and certain actions that are done after the incident. So before the incident is your cyber awareness and risk analysis, etc. And after the incident, of course, is the remediation part. So the cyber security cell is very important, and they have to be trained in all these aspects. And I mean, you have to spend some money on cyber security products. And the back of the envelope figure is 10% of your IT budget should be spent on the cyber security products. So there is a large list that I have on the aspects that need to be done in the health sector. Maybe as we go along with the discussion, we'll tackle some of the other aspects. But to conclude, there are three hard facts, as I said, that vulnerabilities will continue to exist in the cyber domain. Number two is that if vulnerabilities exist, then cyber attacks will continue to take place. And third is that attribution of these cyber attacks will continue to be as difficult as it is today. So these three hard facts will remain in the cyber domain. And if this is the scenario that is going to remain, so my final advice is that number one is your physical hygiene. That is what we are hearing day and night about washing your hands and masks and all the aspects that we have to take precaution against. That is most important. We have to be alive firstly. Number one is physical hygiene. Number two is cyber hygiene. And cyber hygiene involves the endpoint device that you have in your hands and in your homes. What is the antivirus? Is it updated? What is its connection with your Wi-Fi router? What is your password policy? How is the data backup being done? And there's a whole list of that. So I will end with that. Please remember, number one, your physical hygiene, and number two, your cyber hygiene. And with that, thank you very much, Admiral VK and the others, for having me here. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for very pointed guidance to us. And sir, with that, I would like to thank all of you eminent panelists for your viewpoints. So with your permission, we would quickly share the course that we are planning, so that we can have a guided feedback and we can have an open discussion post that. So I would like to invite Dr. Sandeep Bhalla to join me in this short presentation, which will not take more than 5 minutes. Sir, I'm just sharing my screen so that we can refer the slides. So I believe you can see my screen.
Yeah.
So over to you, Dr. Bhalla.
Yeah, I think first of all, a very warm welcome to all the senior colleagues, those who have joined from the different parts of the country. Thanks to General Pant, Brigadier Arvind Lal sir, and Dr. Pillai, and special thanks to Dr. VK for bringing this concept. Let me tell you why PHFI has joined hands in this particular initiative. As Dr. V.K. Singh sir has already mentioned, that this initiative was already there. They started Innovatia Curis. This is a product of Innovatia Curis. Public Health Foundation of India, we as a main public health body in India, we are running a lot of capacity building initiatives all across the country, and since last 10 years, in one decade, we have trained around more than 30,000 physicians in different aspects of diseases, chronic conditions, as well as other areas, also quality, patient safety. So we thought that definitely, sir, this COVID-19 is acting as a blessing in disguise, and this has given us the real bringing up the need of this particular initiative. So we thought, why not we should join hands together and take this initiative in a bigger way. So this is a course which we have planned jointly, and it is going to. Sachin, can you make it little bit big, because it's not clear?
Sir, I think it depends on the person viewing, but this is the largest we can have it, sir.
So what we thought is it is going to be a webinar mode initiative. So in which we are going to open up this initiative to all types of healthcare professionals. It's going to be a 4 modular course. Each module is going to be a 90 minutes with eminent faculty. As Dr. Singh has already highlighted, that Sachin is one of our eminent faculty for this particular initiative. There are going to be live interactions where a lot of question answer sessions with the experts are going to happen. And then it is going to be a case-based and discussions. And cybersecurity policy designing also, there is one assignment which we are going to give to these people, and then afterwards there is going to be a certification. The purpose of this initiative is that to inculcate in the mind of the people the importance of this particular aspect. We are not going to test anybody's knowledge. Disseminate the knowledge of the people so that this cybersecurity aspect should be taken up on priority. So what topics we are going to cover is, it's a basics of internet and cybersecurity, cyber crime in health sector, cybersecurity policy process, and then again including the procurement guidelines, practical case studies in cybersecurity, various how you can design your hospital, what is the role of security in the hospital. The process is that we are going to launch this initiative in the month of July. That is the first batch. Already the nominations process has already started. We got the 3 nominations already from different states, and the last date of registration is 26 June. We have dedicated website for this. We have these are the eminent faculty available for this particular initiative. For us also, this is going to be a learning stage, but as General Pant sir has highlighted very well, that cyber hygiene is utmost important, and cyber security cell and IT cell, we should have a separate IT and cyber security cell in each hospitals and healthcare systems. I think the upcoming demand of this initiative is going to be huge based upon the need of the hour, and we are hoping that with the stalwarts like you associated with us would guide us and bless us that how we can take this journey forward. Thank you.
So, sir, just to add to your points, I think what Dr. Pant mentioned in his speech about the cyber hygiene and also about spending money on cyber. So one thing, sir, we realized in this topic is to bring change. We need to start from the policy. And one of the core objectives we want to achieve in this course is that how can we empower people who join us to start with a policy rollout in their organization. Like you said, sir, that every organization needs a CISO or a dedicated person. I think, sir, before that, we also need a policy, which is totally, ground up policy designed by that hospital or that healthcare organization. So in that context, as the context set by Dr. Bhalla regarding this course, we would like to invite now open, discussion here in terms of topics that you feel that we should, cover in future. Anybody would like to come forward and propose a case study or suggest us any future ideas. So now it's probably an open mic. So I invite you to share your thoughts. I think we have a silent room. So maybe I go back to the panelists looking at this course agenda. Do you have any immediate feedback for us?
I think Sachin Arvind Lal sir is saying something, but is on. He has to unmute himself. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So just to enliven the proceedings, slightly. So I'm going to take you into a world of, non-healthcare, and I've got to share with you some experiences which I have read about and I have been a part of. I'm an ardent, reader of military strategy and the intelligence command. And these days you don't have much of human int, but you have signal int, as you say. So here I would like to draw your attention to, this is a non-medical topic. I am just going to take 2 minutes. And the one of the very famous ways how people breached another country's security was, in the Iranian ultra-centrifugation machines, which were enriching the uranium hexafluoride into uranium-235. I think General Pant would know about it. And the Israelis and the Americans, they got into the software of the Iranian nuclear program, and they were able, and this software was known as SuxNet, and this got into the Iranian kind of affairs, and the centrifuges, which are normally rotating at 3 to 5,000 RPM, they reach speeds of 15,000, 20,000. So in other words, their Iranian nuclear program was finished by this kind of a thing. Also, the Iranians did a reverse on the Americans by downing one of their latest drone aircraft, and the Iranians had also developed this kind of a capacity. But there is nothing to beat the Chinese, ladies and gentlemen. And the former head of the FBI, Robert Mueller, has said this in print, and that is that cybercrime by Chinese and other actors will soon replace terrorism as America's biggest threat. Now, what more can you say about that? Also, I would like to share with you that the head of the U.S. Cyber Command, the forward, I would say, because this is before this administration took over, General Keith Alexander, has said that China had stolen a great deal of American military technology through hacking. And finally, I would like to share with you that there is a unit of People's Liberation Army, PLA as we know it. The unit number is known as 61486, also known as Patar Panda, is well-known hacking unit that conducts intelligence in satellite and aerospace on aerospace industries. So this is what the Chinese are up to, and if we are not careful, they can walk away with something which you have not even introduced. So that is the power of hacking. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. This is all very well said.
Yeah, I just want to thank Brigadier Lal for his deep knowledge on cybersecurity. And just to add to what he says, there is another aspect of supply chain infection. Because a lot of medical equipment today contains electronics. And sometimes these electronics, which are coming from countries which are adversarial states and those who want our data, there are implanted bugs and there are some hardware aspects also. So somewhere this mention of that should be made as to how do we test the medical equipment that is being imported and being utilized. That is one. Second aspect is, since you're having a certification course, let me also share with you that at our end also we have taken up a case with the QCI. QCI is the Quality Council of India for sectoral certification of cybersecurity courses. So what is happening at the moment is that the present cybersecurity courses like CISSP, CISA, etc., are very generic courses. They cover a broad spectrum of cybersecurity. But now with so much specialization happening in all the sectors, I mean, power sector has a different organization and architecture altogether. They have a generation, they have a distribution, etc. The railways have a different, this thing, transportation has a different sector, healthcare is different. So what we are wanting is to create sectoral cybersecurity certifications with the sort of syllabus that you people are having. And to get it sanctified, we are taking the help of the Quality Council of India, which sometimes represents the nation at international forums, etc. So these are 2 points I thought I will just flag here. As we go along, we may discuss it further. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We might have an opportunity that the CEO of NEBH would have joined us today, Mr. Kocher, and his division actually comes under QCI. And so we visited NABH office around 2 years back along with Dr. VK Singh. And so one of the things that is missing is that in our current standard, in the NABH produced standard, we don't have the topic of cybersecurity. And they are also quite keen to bring out, guidelines. Like you mentioned, some of the pointed agenda, in regards to cybersecurity for healthcare. So, sir, that is missing right now from the NABH guidelines. So maybe, sir, that might be also a welcome move, involving QCI and specifically NABH in this work.
Good evening, all of you. May I submit something? I'm Dr. Atul Kocher here.
Very good, sir. We were just speaking about you only.
Yeah, thank you so much for such a kind introduction. General Pant sir, Brigadier Dr. Lal sir, thank you so much for raising these very, very important mentions about the very, very critical part, which I think is a must-know area for not only all doctors, but at all levels of healthcare, actually. So this is like cyber hygiene and the keen interest which Dr. Lal has just told us that this is going to be the war, this is going to be the frontier where every next war is going to be fought. And just to cover that and just to cover our gaps and loopholes in the system, we recently initiated a digital health technology standards. So this is a pioneering venture by NABH, and we already have nominees from Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, sir. We already have nominees from NITI, Bureau of Indian Standards, WHO, CDAC, and National Resource Center for EHR also. I mean, actually, all the guidelines and standards have already been drafted by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare under a very broad system, and these are already in place. What we are hoping to devise and give a document, a collective document, which will bring all interoperability on one platform and which will be easy to assimilate and implement by any healthcare system, whether it's a small clinic, whether it's a small lab, or whether it's a big hospital. So that is what we are aspiring to do, and already we have had 3-4 meetings there, and we are led by some leaders in the field, and we hope to give that document for public opinion and for opinion of all you leaders by the year end. So that digital health technology is not only going to cover the telemedicine, which Dr. Pillai said, very rightly said, that is a very big step, but there are so many gray zones in that. So we really hope to cover all those with the existing standards. So all the guidelines, the existing standards are already there. And I also concur that such certificate courses, my only dilemma is that this is a ongoing, evolving scenario, actually. And as Dr. Lal sir also said that any cyber security, because these people, these scoundrels, they are one step ahead of us always. So this certificate course also has to be dynamic and should be kind of updated on a day-to-day, I mean, or a week-on-week basis, if not on a daily basis. So that is something of area concern. But of course, there's a need for a must-know area. A must-know area for all healthcare professionals should be there, and that should be put made mandatory. Actually, there's a provision in the telemedicine standard by BOG of MCI, Board of Governors, and they say that within a span of 3 years, all doctors must be well versed. So they are still devising the course content of that. But I think a certificate course, if not a certificate, a module on cyber security in healthcare should be made mandatory as a part of the telemedicine guidelines. So this is just a small submission. And in case, I think recently PHFI came out with a wonderful document along with AHPI, which covered the back to practice guidelines, and that is a really wonderful document. And in case PHFI wishes to come out with a pro bono kind of a work which will benefit all healthcare professionals, NABH will not hesitate to partner and also bring out such a document which should contain at least the basics of cyber security. What is the SSL certificate, what kind of privacy, what kind of EHR. So I think we are very open for that to collaborate at such a platform. Just a submission. Thank you so much.
I'm Admiral VK Singh. Thank you, Dr. Kocher. I was, in fact, chairman of Health Committee of Quality Council of India. We started the accreditation system. And I fully agree. Our concern, we had told General Pant, I have told your earlier predecessor, but I'm really glad that you are very positive and now you want to do something. And maybe the COVID has brought it or whatever. And we will participate actively with Sandeep Bhalla of PHFI, etc. And we'll give you what standards should be there for cybersecurity. And as you rightly say, it is a dynamic process and it needs to be amended. Even equality standards of NABH are also amended every 2 to 3 years. So we'll do that and we'll do the needful along with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Partha, do you want to share your viewpoint?
Yeah, hi Sachin. Good evening to all. I'm so glad to be part of this excellent forum and honestly learning a lot from all the evident speakers. I thought of sharing two part of my understanding about this particular topic. So one is definitely at a senior management in the hospital or any other organization, whoever is storing and accessing PHI, any patient health information. We need to understand this topic. So this is not limited to hospital, even in other organizations, non-hospital, but having access to patients' data. We need to be sensitive about this cybersecurity because they are equally vulnerable to the cyber threat. So that's one of the points. So in future, probably, you can include even the health insurance organizations and a couple of other organizations who are also equally having access and storing the patient's medical records and histories because they are also vulnerable. That's one. Second point is, when we talk about this cybersecurity in the hospital, important topic that this is not IT. Most of the time our challenge is we always think that this is limited to IT. Lot of times this is more to do with biomedical, less to do with IT. So as we are now putting more of our medical equipment, and what Dr. Singh has started telling, that is there any way someone can hack someone's pacemaker setting and can do something. Similarly, someone can hack in a hospital, maybe a ventilator setting, and can do some harm to a patient, right? Because we are now getting kind of connected in the overall world of the internet. It's need to be very important that the cyber security aspect is now as an inbuilt program about the all hospital department. Whenever there is a data sharing possible, whenever there's a data sharing possible, there is data hacking possible. So that's the way we have to take it. So this is not only limited to IT kind of things. I would also request Sachin, next time probably we need to also include some of the biomedical engineers, because they would be one of the very important custodian of this so-called cyber security in the hospital. They are managing all the equipment, and this equipment all needs to be absolutely so-called cyber attack proof. And in my understanding, we are not doing enough over there. Otherwise, I absolutely agree with the topics that we were starting with. It will be a dynamic situation, so we'll keep reviewing and going forward. Suggestions is, if you can make your this session more to do with case study based, I'm sure you will plan to do that rather than making it more theoretical things. If you can have interactive things where you are sharing some case studies and also give some work to the people who are coming to attend the course, so they also get the feel of what needs to be really do when they are going back to the workplace. That's my suggestion on the course material. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sachin, we have Dr. J.N. Srivastava representing National Health System Resource Center. Sir is there as a senior advisor quality. I think his inputs are utmost important for all of us. Dr. J.N. Srivastava, sir, over to you.
Thanks, Sandeep. In fact, at the outset, grateful to Admiral V.K. Singh, Brigadier Lal, General Pant, and other dignitaries who have just spoken, the expert. I mean, we look from the perspective of the public health system per se, where considerable amount of data is getting at the grassroots level, more so in terms of the launch of this comprehensive primary health care under universal health coverage and health with concept of health and wellness center, and the family health folders are in fact getting introduced. I mean, they are at the point of introduction in the different stages in the different state. So at this point of time, in fact, the challenges are a bit different from the public health perspective, and our bigger challenge when I look, I mean, I'm sitting over here, is that there is no awareness among the people who are generating this kind of information, who are privy to that. So perhaps I don't know, in fact, whether is it possible, Sandeep and Admiral V.K. Singh, is it possible to have something for them within the agreed this thing, or something differently could be worked out? But certainly there is a need, more so in terms of now with the new concept of, I mean, in the public health system, the government wants to reach out, and there are huge deficiencies of the specialist. So in terms of that, I mean, the reach of the telemedicine, like in certain fields like ophthalmology and related specialties, it has been there. Perhaps we need to be deliberating, and something needs to be, I mean, something needs to be there for them. And under National Health Mission, we will be more than happy to get to support the states so that more and more people they join, and somewhere they get sensitized in safeguarding the data and useful information which is getting generated. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable inputs. We will definitely explore the possibility that how this public health systems can be addressed into this initiative also, and we will definitely take your support to expand this initiative to the various state governments also. We have very senior colleague available from Kochi. We have Chief Medical Superintendent of Amrita Institute. We have Dr. Sanjeev Singh. I think Dr. Sanjeev Singh would be one of the main key person who has already worked in this area also. I would request Dr. Singh to give his valuable inputs, or what are the thoughts you have, Dr. Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sandeep, and it was so great to hear Dr. Lal, Dr. Pillai, and Dr. Pant, and Dr. Atul Kochar. And I think that would be a fantastic, this is a fantastic start to train people. And as Dr. Atul mentioned, it would be a fantastic end if we lay down some standards where we can, once we train people and then we have standards laid down in the hospital, which is related to cyber security, and have some kind of an audit platform checklist so that it gets completed as an intervention. So you train people, you audit, and then you intervene and collect data. I think we should also reach out to many hospitals. I can remember, like in my hospital, we have EMR system since 2005. There are lots and lots of case studies of which is successes and of utmost disaster and failure. So there are some sentinel events which has also taken place during this time, and there has been a lot of crashes, and we had to shift to the manual systems during those times. So if there is a degree of confidentiality, we would like to share those case studies, and we would also request other people to share case studies, so that could be one of those mechanisms which where other people could learn and not repeat the mistakes. This national grid standardization of the course as well as the standards, interoperability, medical devices, teleconsultations if it's coming in big way, the security part, and as Dr. Pillai mentioned, educating our bringing it to the medical colleges and nursing colleges would also be important. So that's it from my side. Thanks for the opportunity and fantastic beginning.
Thank you, sir. Definitely, we will try to expand this initiative to the various hospitals and various health systems also. I think we are coming to the conclusion now. I think before we conclude, we have one small update which we want to get it from senior colleague who is representing the highest management institute in our country, that is IIM Ahmedabad. So we have Dr. Chandwani. Let us take the management review from his regarding this initiative. Over to Dr. Chandwani.
Good morning, sir. Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Chandwani.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. And thank you so much to all the panelists for this enlightening session, and it was very informative from the point of view of academia, which is considered to be slightly away from practice. But here in cybersecurity, I think both of us in the sense academia and practice are exploring the dimensions simultaneously, and that is where the synergy between academia and the practice domains happens when both of us, for example, in this COVID, when the situation evolves, you can see academia and practitioners working together. Similarly, cybersecurity, I think the scope for academicians to add value from different domains, say when we look at privacy and confidentiality from a very different point of view, from an academic point of view, then the cybersecurity design, as the panelists were saying, that we may have to design it thinking it from the enterprise architectural system, where as Dr. Lal's organization, hospitals, government, and say Aadhaar card, UID, all of these are working together, and they are all holding the data, the chunks of data from different angles. So who holds this data, who is responsible for the security of this data, and how the whole chain actually serves the purpose of securing the data and the securing this the information from hacking and from other parts of the other stakeholders. So that is where from an academic point of view, I think it's a very interesting juncture where different stakeholders have been brought together in this seminar, and all of them have discussed the perspective from their point of view. From an academic point of view, it is important to understand the whole architecture. Who holds the information? What is their role? That is where I think the small silos of information, which is facilitated by blockchain and other technologies, and that will be important for us to get hold of this technology and understand what role does the technology play in the total cyber security in the healthcare. I think that is where a collaboration between academia and industry is a good thing to start with.
Thank you, Dr. Chandwani. I would like to conclude the session and invite Dr. Bhalla. But before that, I would just like to respond to some of the comments that have come, and especially Dr. Sanjeev Singh, we would reach out to you for case studies, as you have mentioned, sir. And I would also like to invite Colonel Satyendra Verma to just briefly mention the kind of work that we have been doing for last 2-3 years. Maybe that will also inform, the other participants, some insights. Colonel Verma, are you able to share your viewpoint? Can you do it very quickly?
Yeah, I can hear you. Although the time is up. Thank you very much, Sachin. Me and Sachin, we started this initiative 2-3 years back. We thought that this is an area which is neglected. Little did we know that by the time we finish our full work, the environment and ecosystem would be fully ready to accept our work. But however, in 30 seconds, I'll tell you our biggest challenge has been case studies of India. It is a very, very ironical thing that we have the largest health database. We have it totally vulnerable, yet we don't have case studies where the hospitals have shared any kind of information that how the breaches have happened, what they have done about it, especially during ransomware time, when even when everybody knew that there were a lot of ransomware happening. But we are going to take on this challenge, and when we interact with the ecosystem, we are going to come up with the real world explanation to this anomaly, and we will share with everyone. Thank you very much, all of you, for sharing your viewpoints, and we look forward, me and Sachin, to deliver this unique course to everyone. Thank you.
I got one small little point.
Yes, sir.
Satyendra, as General Pant has said, is very important, and General Pillai, Mr. Dr. Pillai, take that initiative and take it forward. Well, the training, I just wanted to mention to everyone, this is just a beginning. We are already making a bigger, longer program, certificate program, etc., accredited by QCI, by General Pant, etc. So it may be for a couple of months and bigger things, and it will go on auto. And second initiative, which will be launched within next 3 months, is another buzzword called artificial intelligence in healthcare. Work has already started, and the Dr. Bhalla, the sparking methodology, he will also push it, I'm sure, by September. And Sachin is already working along with his team. So we are going to bring what is not existing in the market in the medical system so that people are benefited. Thank you for everyone. Over to Bhalla.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. With this, we have come to the end of the session today. This is the curtain raiser ceremony which we did for this new initiative which we are launching in collaboration with Innovations. We are really thankful to the Securus leadership. Thanks to Lieutenant General Pant, who is the National Security Coordinator from Government of India, Honorable Brigadier Arvind Lal, sir. He's my senior also from FMC. Thank you, sir, for giving your blessings to us. Thanks. Who is the group CEO of Esther DM Healthcare. Thanks to all the senior medical colleagues and other senior think tank leaders, those who have joined today. Though we tried our level best to get the inputs from all of you, but because of the paucity of time, we were not in a position to make you all to give your inputs in this forum. But we will take your inputs at the back once this particular session would be ended. Afterwards, we'll be in touch with you. Thanks to all the senior colleagues, those who have joined. Thanks to PHFI team. Thanks to leadership of PHFI, Professor K. Srinath Reddy. I tried to have him, but because of his already lot of commitments, he could not join. But we have our Director Strategy and Coordination, Mr. Prashant Singh, who is representing PHFI. Thanks to Mr. Prashant for joining this. And I think the way forward would be that the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi ji, has already given us the way forward, that is act local, be vocal. So we have to act locally now. I think this course we have to act locally, and we have to be very vocal about this initiative because it is a need of because everybody has highlighted that there is a lot of security issues. The cyber hygiene is needed, security of the data is needed, patient security data is needed. I think even this COVID-19, the telemedicine new guidelines approved by the governors of Governing Board of Medical Council of India has already come up in a big way. I think this is the right time to have this initiative. With these blessings of all of you, I would say that let us work together and let us try to create something unique in this country and be vocal about this initiative. And we request all of you to help us and act as ambassador for this course. And we are ready to take all the valuable inputs in times to come. With this, on behalf of PHFI, we are really thankful to all of you. On behalf of Innovatia Cures, we are really humbly thankful to all of you. All the best, sir. Take care.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe. Stay safe. All the best. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.